Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to investigate one of the world's most mysterious, heavily debated, and frankly, legendary fortunes. For over 2 centuries, the name Rothschild has been basically synonymous with absolute unimaginable wealth. But as you can probably guess, whenever a family has that much history and that much money, the rumor mill just goes into overdrive. So today, we're going to cut through the noise and track down the actual truth behind this global money-making empire.
Okay, let's dive right into this staggeringly massive number, $500 trillion. Now, this is the net worth routinely thrown around by various internet conspiracy sites. If you've spent any time tumbling down certain rabbit holes online, you've inevitably seen sources claiming that the Rothschild family possesses a fortune so vast, it basically eclipses the economies of most modern nations combined. I mean, 500 trillion? That's just wild.
So, that brings us to our central question, and really the whole core of our explainer today. Is the Rothschild family actually the richest in the world? Is there any factual basis to this colossal number, or is this just modern mythology? Our goal right now is to separate the historical facts from the wild internet fiction. And honestly, the best way to do that is to just look at the hard data. In this comparison right here, brilliantly illustrates the total absurdity of that internet conspiracy. When the whole $500 trillion rumor first started bouncing around the less-than-honest corners of the web, the entire wealth of the globe was reported at only $250 trillion. The intrepid fact-finders over at Snopes tackled this by framing it like a children's math problem. Imagine there are 10 apples in a box. Can one person take 20? No way. The family couldn't possibly possess double the wealth of the literal planet. So with that extreme myth officially debunked, where did this global money machine actually begin? Section 1. Origins of the Empire, Humble Beginnings. The real story is arguably way more fascinating than the conspiracies. The family's founding father, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, had incredibly humble beginnings. Born in the 1750s, he lived in a Jewish ghetto in Frankfurt, Germany. Picture this. He famously shared a single house with up to 30 other people. Orphaned by smallpox at 12, he started a banking apprenticeship in Hanover at just 13 years old. By the time he passed away in 1812, he had completely transformed his life and his family's trajectory, establishing 5 of his sons in major European finance centers. He essentially created the very first truly international banking network. The family operated under a very specific, unified motto: unity, integrity, industry. But how did they actually make so much money? Well, historically speaking, war made the family rich. The European sun was shining on conflict after conflict in those days, and the Rothschilds lent massive amounts of money to governments to finance those wars. They were making hay while the continent fought, deeply embedding themselves into the very financial architecture of Europe.
Now, to ensure that this newly minted wealth stayed strictly within the family, Mayer Rothschild employed a really intense and honestly shocking, by today's standards, strategy. According to a 2003 Discover magazine article, he kept the gene pool and therefore the money pool incredibly close. The plan literally dictated that cousins would marry cousins. In fact, 4 of Mayer's granddaughters married grandsons, and one even married her uncle. It was a highly calculated method to prevent their immense newly built capital from ever being diluted by outsiders.
Section 2. Growth and Losses, a Changing Empire. Out of Mayer's 5 sons, it was the 3rd son, Nathan, who truly supercharged the family's cash flow. Moving to England in 1798, he positioned himself right at the absolute epicenter of the Industrial Revolution. And he didn't just participate in it, he completely dominated. He started in textiles, conquered the London Stock Exchange, and founded a bank that practically financed Britain's entire Napoleonic War effort all on its own. From founding an insurance company to financing massive infrastructure projects like the Suez Canal, Nathan had his fingers in so many pies, he was often called the most powerful man in Britain. But, it wasn't just this endless hoarding of wealth. Nathan also kicked off a massive wave of philanthropic activities. The family built schools, libraries, hospitals, and orphanages. However, the 20th century brought severe devastation to their empire. Investopedia notes that early 20th century infighting really began to chip away at the family wealth. And even worse, during World War II, the family lost numerous properties, and the Nazis stole millions of dollars worth of their assets. The fortune took massive hits. Section 3. Counting the Wealth, an Impossible Fortune. The family did survive, obviously, but their wealth today looks very different. Their assets are completely scattered across a highly diversified modern portfolio. It's like a giant global puzzle. We're talking finance and banking, real estate, mining, energy, and global wineries spreading everywhere from France to New Zealand. They also proudly own one of the world's largest art collections. The wealth isn't just sitting in a single vault somewhere. It's a deeply complex web of global investments spread across hundreds of living descendants.
So this is absolutely crucial to understand. When we look at individual members of the family today, the numbers are high, sure, but they aren't record-breaking. Jacob Rothschild's net worth is estimated at around $5 billion. Jeff Rothschild, who actually made a fortune in tech like Facebook, though there is some debate if he's officially part of the main dynasty, is at $2.2 billion. Benjamin de Rothschild sat around $1.7 billion. To put that into perspective, individually, none of these folks possess an obscene amount of wealth that threatens to dethrone modern mega-billionaires like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett.
The real headache comes when people try to add it all up. The massive discrepancies between estimates are just staggering. You've got unverified websites screaming about $2 trillion, bank rate estimates closer to $400 billion, the Edmund D. Rothschild Group manages around $170 billion in assets. Meanwhile, the gold standard for wealth tracking, Forbes, doesn't even list them as a unified family because the money is so insanely dispersed. This is such a vital lesson in media literacy for us. When numbers vary by literally trillions of dollars depending on the source, you really have to question the methodology of whoever is doing the counting.
In fact, it's such a tricky subject that even highly reputable financial sites have totally stumbled on this. Investopedia actually published two completely different stories, one claiming a $350 billion net worth and another one claiming $2 trillion. They later had to retract and take down both stories, admitting that the numbers totally lacked journalistic integrity and were, quote, inadequately sourced. Major financial institutions like CNBC and the Financial Times simply refused to put a unified number on this deeply diversified family. As the Financial Times noted way back in 2010, the ownership structure is just incredibly opaque. There are just too many descendants, too many diverse companies, and too many private assets to ever give a truly accurate total. We know for sure they are collectively worth many, many billions, but finding a single magic number for the whole shebang? It's fundamentally impossible.
So we kind of end up right back where we started, but with a much, much clearer picture of reality. The $500 trillion myth is absolutely busted, but a vast, complex, and highly diversified fortune absolutely remains. After seeing their wild history, their historic losses, and their incredibly widespread modern assets, what is your ballpark estimate? Let us know what you think the true number might actually be in the comments below, and always keep questioning the numbers you see online. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you in the next one.